Blog Talk Radio.
Looking like the summertime in the wintertime. The perfect time to put the top down on the rock. Cruising for malls that ain't filled up with these long lines. It's palm trees, feel the breeze, but the day and night. Everybody trying to buy like it's Black Friday, like they don't mind. But this is the season for giving. But California living makes it that much better, right? I was on the East Coast for a year. Ain't no way you see me on the beach this time of year. But now I'm back home, Santa Claus hat sipping on my dome. West Coast, that's the throne, oversee it like a drone. Yeah, but the city ain't all I know. Class canceled cause it's snow back at Howard, I would know. But this is my California, hey, and this is Christmas around my way. Outside it ain't even that cold. Got the ground, no snow, that's in Cali, baby, Cali, baby.
What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in to Stardom 100 Radio. I'm your host, none other than Tanisha Davis, and tonight we have a special guest co-host, Ike Morgan, and I'm super excited that we also have another amazing guest on the show tonight. So we got like a really, really dope discussion on the way for all of you who are tuned in. Mr. Trent Shelton, very inspiring, encouraging all across social media. Truly excited to have him on the show today. So, Trent, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate you for sharing your platform with me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you tuning in with us. And I was just doing like a lot of research. You done played in the NFL. Like, how did you go from what led to the inspiration of videos? Was it something you were already doing when you were on the field? Like, how did you get started?
Yeah, really just hard times at rock bottom. My NFL career was very rocky, up and down. I had a 3-year career, but I spent it in 3 different cities, so that kind of can tell you how it went. Getting cut and released, and it was great. It was a great experience. It was always my dream to make it, but it ended a lot sooner. But in that process, I was kind of losing myself, my identity, dealing with depression, and just not knowing who I was or not knowing what my life would be, after sports. And I just remember, fast forward a little bit, I just remember being in my room one night and just realizing that, I have my son Tristan, and realizing that I needed to set a better example for him. And I just said it's rehab time. And at that moment for me, it was just mind, body, and soul. It wasn't to be a speaker. I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing now. And in that process of me bettering myself, I started to share a little bit of my journey. And the fast forward 10 years later, this is what we have now, rehab time.
Wow. Man, and your videos, like, they inspire a lot of people. I know I remember tuning in many days, when you're going through those moments. And you're just like, I need a word. I need something, someone to speak on something that I'm feeling, that I'm experiencing. And you always touch on so many topics to help out young people, singles, anyone. You always touch on a variety of topics. So, like, where do you get the ideas from for your topics? Is it something that you just share from a personal experience, or like how do you come up with those topics?
Yeah, it's like a gumbo pot of different stuff. A lot of it, and definitely when I first started was, what I was currently going through at that time. A lot of it now is, things I might go through at times, but more, maybe something I went through in my past, but a lot of people sharing, messages with me saying, hey, I need help in this area, or I'm going through this. And so, as I call them rehabbers, they inspire me to make the videos that I make now. So I'm just a student of life. So I look around, and if I see a problem or issue or, an emotion that's hard to deal with, even with myself, I'm like, how can this help the world? And I either write a spoken word or I make a video about it.
Awesome. Oh, man.
So you talked about previously before I read about you going through a tough time. Maybe it was the whole transition from playing in the NFL to doing the motivational speaking, and you said you went through a time of depression, which is so taboo, among black men, unfortunately. Can you open up more about that time in your life and how you were able to get past that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, what led to it was just my identity being wrapped around sports, and for people listening, a lot of times, a lot of people have that problem when it's your job or relationship. We wrap our identity around that thing. And so for me, my identity was in that dream. As I was losing that dream, I was losing myself. So, you can just imagine, like, your whole life is your everything. So I'm like, okay, my everything is done. So my life must be over. Like, there's no more to my life. My past had my best. What's the point of living in the future? And I was just basically creating my future, and I like to say, without even experiencing it. And I was just telling myself, like, this is going to be the rest of my story for the rest of my life. And how I got out of course, was my faith. I'm a strong believer in God, and I just held on to what Mom always gave me, is Jeremiah 29:11, that God has a plan for our lives. And even though I didn't know the plan, understand the plan, or could even see the plan, I just realized that there was something more for my life, even though I didn't know the how, but I just knew where I didn't want to stay, especially with me having a son, because I knew Tristan, I'm going to be his role model, his hero, at some point in his life, hopefully for the rest of his life. And he's going to follow Dad's footsteps and operate how Dad operates. And so I said, I got to be a better man for him. And the other thing that happened that got me out of my depression was my college roommate committed suicide. And that's when life got really real for me, going to his service and realizing, like, for one, I placed so much guilt on myself because I'm like, man, I didn't even know he was going through this thing. But for two, realizing life is short. And I didn't want to make people, I promised him that I would always be there for people, no matter how I felt, whatever. And that really was a push in me, like, really, really pushing rehab time from that point on. So I always tell people he's more alive in my life than he's ever been, so that helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's so true. I know a lot of, my brother playing college football and, his friends, some of them made it to the NFL and some of them not making it, but it seems like, they're so passionate about football, and if that doesn't happen, they don't make it, to the professional league. It's like they feel like they don't know what to do with their lives, and I think everyone has to discover another passion, even though sports is their main passion. So, that's so true.
I like that we're on this topic because there's so many people that are dealing with depression, and it may not be like for you it was sports. For some, it's relationships, it's that marriage that's kind of falling through the cracks. A lot of people, and even like you said earlier, jobs. A lot of people are tied and wrapped up in a relationship or a marriage or a job, and if this doesn't work, I don't see any other way. Like down here in Alabama, we've had more higher cases of domestic violence where men are killing women. Like it's getting like really, really crazy. Like we're having, I think within this year we've had maybe like three or more cases where the guy killed the girl. And I'm like, oh my God, because people are just, they're going through and they're, getting into that sinking place to where they don't see another way out. And that's why I love that you're doing these videos, that you're giving people another way, letting them know that there's another way out. You don't have to go this route. You don't have to stay in that place of depression or whatever you're experiencing. You don't have to stay there.
Yeah, that's 100%, correct. You don't. And it's just, just to be totally transparent, I think, even myself, I still go through times where, as the motivational guy, I go through down times. I go through times where I question my worth at times. I go through times where I go through small forms of depression. The only thing now is I'm able to identify it. And for me, I always say create emotion in my life, right? So for me, it's going to protect my peace, going to hike, going to walk, going to work out, going to run, and that changes my whole mindset when it comes to that. So I really try to teach people, especially even how you start your day, will influence your day. A lot of us, we operate in stress, we wake up in stress, and we just that thing steamrolls, and we do nothing to change it. And so I always tell people, you can't just accept it. You got to put some systems in place to help you when you're going through those moments.
Right. And Trent, can you share with me some information and what is some of the advice that you give out for especially not just women but men who are dealing with not loving themselves, like not learning how to love themselves? Because I think that when you get in places where I don't want to say 100% that the person evolves around not loving yourself, but I think it plays a major part in it, though. I do think it has a part in it where sometimes you just, you don't know who you are. You don't know your worth. You don't know how much value there is within you, how powerful you are, your purpose. So what advice do you give for individuals dealing with those situations?
Yeah, for sure. You said it like worth. I always break worth down into two things. The acceptance of self and the confidence in self. And I think that's one of the big problems, that we don't accept who we are, especially living in the social media society age where everything's perception driven and, everything seems to be perfect. And we live in a state of comparison. So the first step that I always tell people is realizing how you were created. Especially if you have faith.
Yeah.
You're created by an awesome God. You're set apart. There's only one of you. And when you truly realize that, and you understand that, that's where your power rests. I mean, your uniqueness is your greatest gift, and I just wish a lot more people would understand that. The second thing I would tell people is that stop measuring your life. And this is easier said than done, of course, but start measuring your life and start appreciating your life. Too many times we allow society standards to cause us to how we feel about ourselves. So I have to have 6 figures to be rich. I have to have a blue check by my name. I have to have this many followers. I need to be married by the time I'm this and that. So I always say break the ruler. I do this today. I have a ruler in my office that every time I feel like I'm comparing my life or allowing something to influence it externally, I'll write on that ruler and I'll break it, because that ruler is significant for me. Basically, a ruler is society's ruler for me to measure my life. So appreciate everything. Appreciate your pain. Appreciate your struggle. And you can look at tons of people, like even my life, like if it wasn't for everything I went through, the things I weren't proud of, the things that I did wrong, my bad past, I wouldn't be who I am today. But you're always a choice away from a new beginning and a commitment away from a new life.
Right. I like that you brought that up about the comparison to society, like what's going on. Oh man, it's so easy to get caught up in that. And society says that you should be this by this age, and you should have this much money by this age, or your life is just supposed to be all together by this time, and that can be stressful. That can be very stressful.
Yeah.
Stressful, and then even with social media, like you said, you touched on about you don't have a blue check mark, if you don't have this many followers or so forth. People are living under comparison, and that causes a lot of anxiety, and that could cause depression too, and to make you feel like, man, I'm not doing enough, and I'm not doing enough because I'm not living like this by this age, or I haven't achieved this by this age. So a lot of that does play a major part. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially with, men too. Men might be looking for their queen, so to speak, but a lot of women I even see in my own social media, who haven't found that special someone. They're looking for that perfect person, but, that doesn't exist. What message do you have for those single women who haven't found their queen, so to speak, in life?
I know it might sound like super cliche, but I tell people all the time, like, you shouldn't be searching for anything. That's just why I feel like you shouldn't have to chase anything. I feel like you should be discovering who you are on a deeper level. And I think, a lot of times we're always looking for someone else to love us, which, of course, that's our human nature. But in most scenarios, we're not learning how to love who we are. And there's a time in your life where, in your singleness or whatever, like, you have to work on being complete. And I believe personally that, it's not someone else's job to complete us, but it's someone else's job to add to our completeness. So I would say focus on yourself. I know that's super cliche, but work on yourself and be patient. And don't let the voids in your life cause you to settle, right? So you might be feeling lonely. So when you're lonely, when loneliness is in the driver's seat of your life, you're going to find whatever that doesn't make you feel lonely. More likely you're going to settle, get in a situation where you settle, you're not happy, and it ends up in a mess. So don't let the voids control your life at all.
Yeah, I love that message. Never settle, and I love that shirt. I'm gonna have to get that shirt. Where do you order your products from?
ShopRehabTime.com. So that's where you can get them at.
Yeah, that can apply in so many areas in life. Never settle.
Yeah. I like that you were talking about when you're single, that is a time to really try to focus on yourself, building yourself up, working on areas where, you may need some strength at, your weaknesses, learning about yourself. I think a lot of people don't utilize being single as a time to really embrace yourself, learn what you like, what you don't like, just really learn you, and I like that you said you need to be whole before, like, you don't wait for this person to make you whole. Well, when I have that person, then I'm going to be happy when I get with this person and so forth. Like, that should already be on the inside of you. You should already love yourself enough, and be able to identify love by loving yourself. We know that God is love, but when you learn how to love you and treat you right, once you meet the other person, you'll know how to identify it. You'll know how to say, okay, this, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to, that's not love, and enough people don't spend that time learning to love themselves like that. They just go jump into things, and it causes all kind of chaos. So you do need that downtime for yourself. That's very important.
That's so true.
Yeah. Ike, did you want to share something?
So if you don't mind sharing with us, how did you meet your wife? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, this is something funny. So first, I started my wife, given my age, on MySpace. Like, literally, it was on MySpace. It was so funny. And we talked, we dated a bit. But honestly, to be real, it was more of a situationship. It wasn't a relationship. And we had our son. I got my wife pregnant. And we had our son out of wedlock. Our situation is very, like, super uncommon because, she went and did her thing, I went and did my thing, but we ended up connecting because I told her, and we told each other, that I don't want to get in a relationship because of our son, right? I don't want that to happen. I want it because we love each other. So she figured herself out, became complete. I figured myself out, and I became complete. And maybe 4-5 years later after that, we realized that we really did love each other. And, there was people putting pressure on us, our parents, her parents, our friends, and, we should be getting married and all this stuff. And we got married, 3 years ago? And we took our time, man. So it was a roller coaster, to be honest with you. And just to be real, like, when she got pregnant, I was in a relationship when she got pregnant. So I was that guy, and it was very hard because I hurt a lot of people in the process. And one of the first things I said when I started rehab time, I've hurt so many hearts in my life, and so that's why I take my time and really put the emphasis on repairing so many hearts. And I wasn't being a man. Like, I was, just to be real, like, I'm sort of pouring out, but just to be real, I was trying to push for her to get an abortion because I didn't want to face my truth. at that moment. And I was a terrible person, man. And over time, though, as I grew, and that was 2007. That's when I just entered the NFL. So I was living a reckless lifestyle, man, super reckless lifestyle. And over time, though, I realized, like, how much she supported me, stayed down for me, and how much she cared about me, as a person. And, I'm just glad to be able to make it work with her. And now we have 2 beautiful kids, and we've been married, 3 years. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, y'all have a real beautiful family. So what do you think, like, being in the NFL, like, it, the whole, just dating different women and all that, does it come with the territory? Like, I'm sure you had teammates who were really on the scene and, just doing their thing, so to speak. Does that really come with the territory? It's just, like, hard to really avoid that?
I mean, I'm not going to say NFL players or athletes are like that, but it's just, I put it like this. I wouldn't necessarily say athletes, but I just feel like when you're in a position to get anything you want, almost, that could be somebody who's high-level CEO. It's a lot harder because temptation is in your face. And if you're not strong, if you don't know who you are as a person, if you're putting yourself in environments where, you're partying all night and putting stuff, drinking, smoking, whatever it may be, you're going to make wrong decisions. And so that environment is there all the time. I mean, when you have that title by your name, girls are there. Anything is there that you want. And so unless you're really strong-willed and really are focused and you know yourself, it's so easy to lose yourself in that scene.
Wow. Yeah, I love that you're so transparent about what you've been through and what you've experienced on, like, both sides of the fence as far as in when you're in the NFL and just outside. I like that you're very transparent because that is so helpful, for people to hear someone that's not, just saying, hey, this, making it like their life is perfect. I love that you just bring it all out because that helps people to heal. It really does help you heal when you see that someone else is going through or has been through what you've been through, That's a step towards healing.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I tell people all the time. It's like, I think a lot of people don't share their story or don't share the real part of it because they're afraid to be judged. And that's what people all the time. For one, people are going to judge you regardless. But in order for you to heal yourself, you have to be real with yourself, right? And I've realized just with my life, my transparency has led to my transformation, and my transparency has led to a lot of other people's transformation because, like you said, now you're relatable. Now it's like, I used to say this, like, when I was in church growing up, and, like, the pastor would be preaching, and I would be like, man, I could never be like him. It's like everything was perfect. I was like, man, I could never be that guy. And it was just hard to be, and so I just accepted how I was. But then when I got around different pastors or people that was, like, open and real, I'm like, man, okay, you go through this too? Okay, you don't have to be perfect, but you just need progression in your life. That's obtainable. And we just need more of that in the world, man. So I'm an open book, So I'm just like, I don't want to keep anything inside because that's going to eat you up, at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think your message resonates with so many, not just women, but, men as well. And, I love your journey. And, I know a lot of folks, once we had promoted this, were asking me, like, where is Trent going to be at next? Like, do you have a tour going on or, are you visiting different areas, speaking to crowds? Like,
so
where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm not touring this coming up here. Excuse me. I might do a few events maybe. We haven't decided on it yet, but anything will be on TrentShelton.com. I do have a few events that I'm scheduled to speak at, like in different cities, like other people's events that they bring me in. So I'm always going to push that on social media, so they just stay connected with me through Instagram or Facebook or on my website, TrentShelton.com. They can find the information there.
Okay. Man, awesome. Well, Trent, it has been like truly inspiring just talking to you, hearing your story, and hearing what you're sharing and your message. I just wish you the best going forward, like to continue spreading such a positive message, and continue to be transparent, because it's helping people, because the world needs more of it. At the end of the day, we know even God himself is not looking for perfect people. People need to share their stories. People need to come out about what they're dealing with and so forth. Like I said earlier, that's a step towards healing. So I'm excited, and hopefully you're going to be circling around near Alabama.
That's one place I haven't been
somewhere near here.
Somewhere down south.
I've never been to Alabama. That's one place I haven't been, so I need to make that happen.
Yeah, add us on the tour, so you come out to one of the shows.
For sure.
Definitely
you said Florida?
Check out the show.
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah, you said what?
So Stars in Alabama, and I'm in Florida. And we're always in Atlanta doing stuff, so, they're all near each other. So.
Cool, man.
Yeah, so you got to make your way down.
It's been an honor and a pleasure, man. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me, man, sharing your platform. And y'all just keep doing what you're doing and keep impacting love. That's what it's about.
Hey, man, thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Thank you for being a guest on the show. Everyone that's tuned in, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to listen to the show tonight. Be sure to keep up with Trent Shelton on social media, everywhere. Keep up with the tour, soon. If you're in Alabama, he'll be in Alabama.
Yeah, to plug that in.
I'm trying to squeeze Alabama
right.
on this tour, So, but you all be sure to follow Stardom 100 Radio on iTunes. Also, be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio. And thanks again, Trent. Thank you for being a guest. Thanks, for being a guest on the show as well tonight, and we appreciate you.
Thank
you. I appreciate you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Go.